All right, so now let's work on triggering this PSD. So I'm going to go to the animation menu, go key, open the set driven key window, and let's start with the left side. So I'll load this decomposed matrix as the driver, and then I'm going to pick my left target by selecting the node in the channel editor and load and driven. My blend shape scaling fixes, select the left side and make sure that I have my rotate Z selected. And for now, let me zero this parameter. So this is fairly simple stuff. At the zero state, I want to make sure I have a 0 so I can set a key on this target and I should see it light up. So if I set a key, it should light up, and then if I rotate the control minus 35 degrees, sorry, in this side it's actually 35. Let me make sure I have the right thing. Yeah, maybe I should go a little further, go 40. Yeah, 40, not a bad place to trigger it. And I can trigger it to a full value of 1, and I should be able to set another key. And this should be it. So let's test it out. Let me move this stuff to the side. And if I set this to 0, it looks good. And I'm going to keep an eye on this to make sure it's actually changing. So when I start to rotate, yeah, it's changing and triggering the blend shape. So it is working. But you're going to notice something as I go beyond. It should probably stop. And in this instance, it's not a bad thing for it to stop. Like I said, this pose is not realistic, so there's no need to accommodate it. So I'm not going to go ahead and edit the curve like I described I was going to do, or actually maybe I should. Let's go into the curve editor and let me show you how you can get this thing to continue executing when you're past the points you've specified, because I specified at 40 for it to stop triggering. So if I was to go into the graph editor, I'll go animation, graph editor, and access my blend shape curve. And another thing I just realized is that I don't particularly care for an ease out and an ease in. For something like this, it could just be a linear interpolated execution. So I'm going to select these two curves and turn it into a linear curve. But the simple way to have this thing continue executing past the point specified is to just select it and go curves post infinity cycle with an offset. And now it should keep executing if you keep pushing this thing. Let's in fact see if it is working. So once again, I'm not paying attention, and the reason why it doesn't appear to be working past the limit is because I'm going in the wrong direction. You do have to pay attention to this. This is when it's not triggered. I don't particularly care that it keeps executing in this direction. This is when it's triggered at 1. So here I should go back to curves and post infinity with cycles, set it back to constant. But when it's going in this direction, I have to make sure curves post pre-infinity cycle with offset. And now you see it keeps executing even though we're past the limit of 1 for the blend shape. It's going to keep executing if you keep rotating. But in this particular case, it just doesn't seem like it's necessary. It's not particularly doing anything special, because if I was to select this, I have to make sure the curve is selected. If I go curves, pre-infinity, and pay attention to the leg to see if the deformation going away past the limit and looks better than this, right? It does look significantly better. But once again, this is not something you should be trying to accommodate because it's just not a real pose. So I'm going to turn this back on, cycle with offset. Yeah, and end up with this result, right? This is not entirely bad, but all we care about is what happens when we rotate it to a realistic rotation of the foot. All right, so the left side is done, and let's take a look at the right side because I do have this negative thing going on here, so I want to make sure I show you how to deal with this because of what we're dealing with over here. So I'm going to load the other side into the set ribbon key window, and this is accessible here. So I'm going to go to rotate Z, and at this state we want to set a key at 0. So I set a key for the right side, and then I'm going to take this and we're going to set the value to -1. Set this to -1, and that triggers the morph, and we can now set a key. So now let me check to see if it's working. Yes, we're fine. So we see the value changing, moving towards -1. And let's rotate it all the way and also set it to operate infinitely. So this one too, we want pre-infinity to cycle with offset. So with this selected, I'll keep my eye in the viewport, go curves, pre-infinity, cycle with offset, and we can still see some deformation happening past this point. So now they're executing infinitely, and we should be good. All right, so that's it for this simple PSD. This one was just to fix this little bulge, and we tackled the back side of it too, and it's looking pretty good. Before I close out this lesson and move on to the next thing, I want to resolve a small problem. I think I mentioned this in a previous lesson, that I had a modeling error on the foot, and you can see it. It's really jarring. Every single time I look at it, it pisses me off. But there's this bulge here that I made and didn't resolve at the sculpting stage. And this is something you can fix on the original mesh, bring it back in here, and if you have your weights saved, you can reload them onto the mesh. But I think it's something I can fix here with blend shapes. It's not a blend shape that's going to be triggered with a driver. It's just going to be a sculpt fix that you just keep on permanently. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to zero this out, and I'm going to add another target and call it TRGT foot modeling fix. And then I'm going to come over here and just repair this. I'm going to use my soft selection tool. And yeah, so it's fixed. But before I completely stop, I do want to show you something. You notice how I'm getting a lot of lag in the window, and it's because at the top of my deformation stack, I have this delta mush deformer executing after every move. When it's time to do this stuff, it would probably be a good idea to turn off the envelope of your delta mush deformer so it stops executing, so that you can do this work a lot easier, because it's almost like running a smooth operation every single time you make a move. And this should speed up feedback in the viewport a lot more. So just turn off your delta mush deformer. Now for something like this, there would have been no need to create a duplicate copy of it. Because it's a modeling fix, I could have just right clicked and done a mirror target. But with the way this thing is behaving, I doubt it's going to mirror the right thing to the other side. Let's take a shot at it and let me show you what I'm talking about. Since it's doing the inverse, if I was to right click and mirror, it should take the effect to the other side. So if I go mirror target, yeah, it's going to do the opposite, and I do not want that. So I'm going to undo it. First, make sure I rename this one to the left side, duplicate it, flip it, and set it to -1. And actually these results are not too good at all. So until I figure out why I'm having an issue with mirroring and moving things to the other side, unfortunately now my in context blend shapes will have to be done on both sides. So I'm going to delete this and just go ahead and make the fix on this side too. All right, so that's it for now. If I keep seeing it looking weird, I'll just come back in here and continue editing this blend shape. And now there's no need to put this left tag because it does represent the fix on both sides. All right, and one more thing that I do want to make sure I check is something I probably should have checked immediately after creating this set driven key, is to make sure that the FK system is also triggering this thing. So I'm going to go into FK mode and pay attention to my shape editor window, rotate. Yes, and it's triggering it just fine. So this is an instance where we have two drivers being able to trigger with no problems at all. So that's it for this ankle fix PSD. I want to move to a more complicated one now, and we're going to move to the upper torso, and that would pretty much comprise of everything in the upper shoulder area. The drivers for this are going to be mostly a shoulder shrug and the lateral rotation of the upper arm. So in the next lesson, we'll get started with the upper torso fixes. And I know that a lot of them are here, but we're going to have a discussion about why they're going to change. Before I end this lesson, I do want to point out there are quite a few other ways to get mirrored sculpting that can be isolated and triggered separately. And one of them that I'm going to show you right now, which I will use in the next lesson for the upper torso, is to do the sculpting with mirroring on, duplicate the target, and then just erase one side and then erase the other side for the other one. So let me show you what I mean. So if I was to add a target, let me just add a target over there and call it left underscore side. I'll change this shortly. But with the target active, if I was to say go to one of the sculpting tools, let me pick a build-up brush like that. So a build-up brush. And if I turn on symmetry, I can sculpt on both sides. So if I was to increase my brush, for instance, and do like a build-up, like so, and let's say this is whatever I'm doing, right? Now I can deactivate it and just duplicate it. This should over-intensify the effect, but that doesn't matter. It will change shortly. Let me just call this the right side. And then I'm going to deactivate one of them. All I have to do now is take the erase brush. Let me see if I can find it. It's that one, the erase tool. So I turn on edit and just erase. So I just erase one side. It's completely gone. So now this is the one for the right side. And I can now turn this one off, turn on the left side, and just do the same thing over here. And now I have the same sculpting on both sides, right? So this one can be triggered with the driver on the left side of the character, and the other one can be triggered with the driver on the right. So even though duplicate and flip is misbehaving, there's still a way to only do the sculpting once. And this is the solution I'll use up top here until I can figure out why the duplicate and flip is not working. And another thing that I'm really curious about is where all these advanced skeleton blend shapes are, because if I go into the input connection here, they are not here. I wonder where they are. So anyway, I'll see you guys in the next lesson where we get started with the upper torso blend shapes.